Okay, I'm at 1039 Azure Court in Cincinnati, Ohio, doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, anything that may be of concern to the buyer. The access point here is clean out, you can see, right next to this stationary tub, and there is the washer and dryer stacked on top of each other here. So it's in the back corner of the laundry room, or in the center of the basement pretty much. So we have cast iron above ground, and so it should be cast iron under the floor here based off the age until it exits the house, and then most likely it'll switch over to clay. Cast iron is it's not a bad material, but it does have a definitive lifespan. They say it's roughly 75 years, but you can never really tell how thin or thick the pipe walls are on these. It's pretty difficult to tell. So you're looking for any holes or structural issues mainly. You can see the little bit of channeling going on in the very bottom. That's normal. And then the white stuff around there is just grease. A little bit of thin grease buildup just from the sink. I think about every fixture goes down this same stack, and so just from regular use in your kitchen area, you'll have a little bit of layers of grease that kind of sticks to the cast iron. I do like to make a note every time you see cast iron to just note to not use any kind of wet wipes, because cast iron is more susceptible to what they call soft clogs, which is just basically like excessive toilet paper and stuff like that. Usually it's caused by flushing paper towels or stuff that's not designed to go down the sewer line. Toilet paper disintegrates when it gets wet. That's what it's designed to do. And wet wipes are a good example of things that shouldn't go down there because they don't break down. They will. And so if they do catch, you can tell how rough the inside of a cast iron pipe gets because of the rust. It could easily catch the wet wipe and things build up behind it. But this line of cast iron looks like it's holding shape pretty well. You can see it's still a circle. A lot of times they'll have heavy buildup on the bottom that kind of flattens out the bottom also. But this line looked really good on the inside. And there we are switching over to clay, as expected. Clay is a pretty good material. The only issue you have with clay a lot of times is that it's pretty common to have some root intrusion, and that's basically because you have these connections here about every 3 feet or so, and there's a lot of, here we go right here. So there's a lot of chance for openings. A lot of times they get in like this at the connections, and then and so it's not uncommon at all, because when they're put in, a lot of times they over the years the packing in between the connections breaks down, and they start letting in roots, and then they just grow bigger and bigger, because there's nothing a tree likes more than fertilizer and water all in one place. So I'm trying to get this to push through. I'm slowly getting by it. Sometimes I can poke a hole through it or push just past it. It's like I'm moving slowly. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn the microphone off so you don't have to hear me fighting with this, and we're gonna see if we can get through this spot of roots, because that was a big heavy spot of roots. This is definitely gonna need at least a thorough cleaning, but we're hoping to get far enough down the line where we can inspect more than just the first 15 feet or 20 feet outside the house. and hope that there's not more large areas of roots like this. So I'm going to turn the microphone off so you don't have to hear me trying to fight with this. Okay, looks like we made it past both of those spots, which is pretty good. Hopefully we don't have anything else in our way from here out, and that was the only short section that we had to fight with. And we'll, if I need to make a mark, I will on the way back. Okay, it looks like we've switched over to concrete, which usually indicates that's what they used when the developer came through and put the sewer mains in. They must have used concrete to bring the line over onto the property, and that usually means that the sewer main itself is also concrete. And concrete's another good material. It does wear away a little bit. I mean, just like any other concrete, you can see the exposed aggregate or the stones that kind of get exposed as the water goes down it for years. This all looks great, and it's a lot. This is a lot less susceptible to root intrusion, as you can see. So it looks like we will be able to finish the inspection. Just have a couple spots of root intrusion up close to the house that will have to be cleaned, and then yeah, there we are. We've made it all the way to the main, which is also concrete. And so we've made it all the way out, and we'll continue recording on the way back. I'm going to see if I can drop down in there and see if we can make sure that the camera's rinsed off. It just doesn't look like I'm going to be able to because of where the tap comes in. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it. So I'm going to run a little bit of water and in this stationary tub and see if we can rinse the camera off before we pull back. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video for a second. Alright, so you can see water is running. So looks like we've still got a little bit of haze in the middle there, but no big deal. So as we pull back, we'll go ahead and take a look at the line again. The concrete is obviously in really good shape. We've already looked at all this. I think the main thing is just going to be, you know, making a kind of marking where the roots are and where the concrete starts, where the clay stops, those kind of things. Get this splash around in there. Sometimes just letting it sit here for a second will clear it up a little bit also.
No, these are the ones that they're taking. They're going to swap them out.
No, get in
Yeah,
here.
but this is what we're talking about, Tyler. To reroute those bathroom things. To use this opening that goes up and out.
But concrete like looks like it's in great shape. Must be some sort of little bit of grease or something. That's what's keeping this thing from rinsing off. So looks like the concrete starts at
about 59 feet or so, which probably indicates that where it leaves the property. So the big thing there is that's where concrete starts coming out of the clay. It seems like the clay looks good for the most part. You just have the spot here, let's see, 52 feet. And this is a pretty large hole. You can see as I pulled my camera out now, the water is starting to slowly back up. And so you want to get this taken care of immediately. You can see 52 feet. You see it's getting in right at that connection, which is normal. And then it's probably going to be around 48 feet. Yep. 3 feet apart. But those are really heavy root intrusion there. So 48 and 51. Pretty heavy root intrusion getting in at those two connections. Again, I'm going to recommend that be cleaned, and then after that, you can do yearly treatment for roots. Usually, a big name of the chemical is Root X. That stuff you can put down about once a year. It's a preventative maintenance thing after you have it initially cleaned, and that'll help keep the roots down. And then maybe have an inspection done in about 5 years to kind of check to see what kind of shape these spots are in, and kind of give you an idea if you need to modify the maintenance schedule, or just, you know, keep up the way you've been doing it. But usually, and this is very common with clay lines. Roughly 80 to 90% of all the lines I inspect with clay have some form of root intrusion. You do kind of, because of how many roots are there, you do probably want to have it inspected after the cleaning, just to see, because that is a very large amount of roots. They kind of start at about 46 feet, and so you just want to make sure that there's no major structural damage on the top side. I don't see any pieces of clay or anything laying there, but you can see just how much of the pipe is full of roots. So the water is making it through, but you could see it puddling earlier as I pulled my camera back through, where it kind of closed back off a little bit. So you start using this heavily, and there's toilet paper and stuff will catch on that and back up pretty soon. But the rest of the line is in great shape. So good thing is you only have a small section, a small area that would have to be cleaned and maintained. The rest of the line looks good structurally and functioning as designed. And there should be clean out here. Sometimes it's hard to see with in the cast iron just because it looks so rough, but yeah, we probably pulled right past it, but there is one under the steps. be coming really close to where it goes vertical and coming out. And there we are. Okay. So, the line looks really good structurally. You just have between 46 and 51 feet there that needs to be cleaned and maintained. Obviously, in the future, should be enough to, if you have it cleaned well, and then run some root X or something through there periodically, you should have plenty of life left in the line itself. And there are permanent solutions if you don't want to deal with the roots, things like lining and just replacing that section, but they've been cleaning roots out of clay lines for decades, and works pretty well. And maintenance is something that's usually needed on anything old, and sewer lines are no different. So I'm just going to recommend cleaning, and then some regular maintenance with a chemical, maybe yearly, and a re-inspection in a few years just to kind of see how things are going. You may want to inspect it after the initial cleaning also, just to be sure that there's no structural damage from those heavy amounts of roots there at that just outside the house. So that'll end the inspection at 1039 Azure Court in Cincinnati, Ohio.